Hello, good evening.
Welcome!
Yes. Hold on, my thing is way too loud. Okay, that's better. Good. Alrighty. So, yesterday was a bit of an early end because I needed to think on some things, and I think I have a solution now. The problem, as I posted yesterday, was well, I had three problems. I have a solution to one of them. Where do we put styling information, and how do we put that information? Which refers to... It doesn't refer to anything in the alloy core protocols, but in the simple protocols. So if we go into renderers, simple protocol. Okay, so the question is, when we create a layout of stuff, how do we actually... Well, how do we designate what the look is of that, aside from, you know, the default styling? So if we wanted to override the styling selectively without having to completely rewrite everything, how would we do so? And the answer I came up with is something very similar to, I guess, CSS kinds of things, where you attach styling information, styling overrides to the various layout instances. And each of these instances is going to have three, I guess, styling overrides, one for each kind of focus state. So if you may remember from way back in the beginning of the alloy journey, I guess, there's three different states of focus that an element can have. One of them is no focus, and then you have weak focus, and you have strong focus. Weak focus is, I guess, traditionally similar to hovering or something like that. So if an element is weakly focused, it's not selected, but it is sort of hovered over. Well, weakly selected. Okay, so those are the three states that we have. And each of these three states is going to need some kind of a description of style overrides. And in the simple interface, we already have a style thingy, which contains some amount of information, but this information is purely for the drawing. And there's several pieces of information that are not in this that we need to know. So particularly what we want to be able to specify in the in this different kind of style. I don't know a good name for it. For instance, what we want to be able to specify is the background color, how the element's background is filled, if at all. The border information, which is thickness and color. And if we have text, the foreground color. And if we have text, also we need to have several properties like the padding, so the distance from the border of the text, alignment of the text, whether it's left, right, top, bottom, aligned, and of course the direction of the text as well. So what else do we need? That's about it, I think. Well, okay, of course the font and the various font properties are other parts. Okay, so we need a new kind of structure to hold this information, and the way this is going to work as well, that I imagine it, is that you can define a standard style for each component, and then when drawing it does so generically no matter what component is being drawn, aside from like stuff like whether it contains an icon or text or whatever. So that's the current plan. Now the first problem is coming up with a name for that, and I don't know a name for that. That is good, because style is already taken. Let's hit up the thesaurus. Style. Trait. Appearance. Look will be one. Presentation. I like presentation quite a bit. Yeah, let's use presentation. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna have the background color, the border information, the foreground, or, yeah, let's see. I'm not sure whether I want to group things together so the border will be two things, or whether I want to have only single things. We also need information about an icon if that's displayed. Let's make separate properties. That's easier to inherit and override, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like either things. I think I'm gonna go for compound options anyway, after all. Okay, so for the text, okay, we have, because our current drawing interface doesn't allow gradients or images as background, I guess we can only do color. Might need to rethink that. Border is we have for fun stuff? Yes. Something like that, maybe. don't know. I really can't figure out how to group things. Let me begin by enumerating all properties. So, background, color, border, color, text, color, padding, padding would apply to both the icon and the text.
Are these colors going to change dynamically during runtime? If not, you can put them into a color theme structure.
Well, how this is going to work is sort of a color theme structure, or what this is, I guess, supposed to kind of be that, at least in the way it's going to be utilized. The idea is that you create some kind of layout structure, and when you create that layout structure, you attach presentations to whichever layout structures you want to influence the look of, and in that way you compose, you designate what things look like aside from the default behavior. So it's more akin to like CSS stuff and on the web, I suppose. It's kind of muddled anyway because most bigger toolkits and things
But
are...
putting data about images into a color theme isn't a good layout, is it?
Well, it's not a color theme. It's all the styling. It's how this element is going to be rendered. So it has all of that information in there. I'm not sure if it's useful to only control the colors in a separate structure. It seems... I don't know. Let me think.
Doing this in a monolithic way might result in quite inflexible and big functions.
What do you mean by big functions? I'm also not sure I understand what you mean by monolithic.
You're probably going to extend the functionality later. If you put everything into one big data structure, you are more likely to mess up when you try to change something.
But if you split things apart, you are more likely to create spaghetti. In trying to, you know, compose everything together. It's not like, you know, either one approach.
Not with GUI stuff. GUIs are pretty dynamic.
Okay, you lost me again. Who is more likely to mess up when they are trying to change what? The user when they're trying to change what an element looks like, or me, the implementer of this API, when I'm trying to change how it behaves? Because I don't see how...
IMO, the benefits of having a flexible GUI system outweigh the benefits of a compact data structure that holds all information about the presentation of an object.
Yeah, but I don't understand how putting the colors elsewhere makes it more flexible. To me, it seems more just like a pain, because then I need to retrieve presentation information from more than one location when I actually want to render the object. Like, I don't know about you, but again, CSS is, to me, one of the most flexible UI systems, at least as far as I know, because pretty much everything can be changed about how it's rendered, how things are presented, and that seems to be the monolithic thing you're trying to argue against, so I don't know how flexibility is connected to
I
things
guess
being
it depends on the context. Let's approach it from a different angle. How do you get the data into the data structure?
You create the data structure and you attach it to a layout element.
In that case, what you're doing here makes more sense.
Okay, glad we're on the same page then. Again, the idea is that the presentations are basically, I hate to make this analogy, but they're basically like CSS selectors in the sense that you attach them to the elements that you want to style, and they simply contain the styling properties. You can retain a reference to such a presentation object later and change it on the fly. It's not like it's baked in or anything. So you can potentially also remove or add things on the fly if you want. Okay, this is also only one way of what I'm building here with the Alloy Simple protocol is basically a very rudimentary default way of rendering the components and elements in a layout. So the idea behind this is that if a renderer implements this protocol here, then it'll be able to draw all of the components and layout parts that are in the standard distribution. And if it doesn't, then it can simply handle the render logic of everything on its own manually in whatever way it wants. So you could imagine more complicated systems or systems that work in a different way from this that can coexist, I guess. Okay. I can't think of any other properties besides this. So I think I'm gonna keep it like that. Hooray.
But if you are planning on putting everything into a single structure, a plain old def struct would do the job too. Or why are you using a class here?
I'm using a class because def struct is not necessary unless you are worried about performance. I could, for instance, imagine that you have a renderer that supports additional styling properties because it might have a wider protocol than this, and so it might want to extend the presentation class and make it bigger to add more properties. Generally, my advice is to not use structures unless you know you have to for performance benefit. because, for instance, even during development, classes cannot be redefined. You can't, well, effectively on most implementations you can, but not without serious drawbacks and risk of corrupting your image by doing so. Classes are really the way to go, both for prototyping and for pretty much any kind of data structure with slots, unless you have performance constraints, which in this case we certainly don't. We just want to hold a couple of values. Wrong key entirely. God damn it. Did I even load anything? Don't remember. Nope, I didn't. Space.
Why are you using slot value inside the loop after the unless?
Because I have symbol names here. So, well, I suppose I could func call, but then I would have to construct the setup thing, so I guess I should. Much less readable IMO, but at least we're using the accessors. Could, I guess, use a macro instead. Yeah, let's do that. Seems even better.
Macros are always good. Blinking face.
Except for when they're really not. Fuck you, slime, and your shitty alignment. Better like this? Yeah, I guess so. The idea of a sort of a look and feel, though, is interesting to me. Namely, being able to define default values for the presentations for different components. Well, before we think about that, let me...
That's easy. It's kinda like shadowing undefined values in your presentation class.
Yes, but what I'm asking is, I want to be able to define a set of presentation defaults for different kinds of components under a given name, so that I can have different named sort of look and feels that the user can choose from. And the question is, where do we get the where in the protocol do we get the delegation, or where does it find the actual concrete presentation instance to use for a given combination of chosen look and feel, and where that choice is made? It's probably going to be in the renderer, I think. So the renderer is going to have a slot for the look and feel, and that is then used with a function called to retrieve the default presentation type to merge into for a given component. So something like default presentation look and feel. Something like this then returns a specific presentation, and then you can also call that with a renderer that has a look and feel renderer. Something like this. Okay. Now we actually need to handle the rendering part of things.
Looks good, but it feels like this breaks the module barrier between the renderer and the look and feel.
What do you mean?
My bad, I made a mistake again. I'm still not very familiar with your code.
That's alright. I really appreciate the feedback and you're following along and interjecting things. It's good to feel watched sometimes. Lord knows my code is, I feel like it has a lot of symptoms of, this word has become tainted, but like autistic behavior because I'm on my own so much when I write my stuff. I don't have anyone watching me and telling me that I'm doing dumb things. So it probably has a lot of idiosyncrasies that have been accumulated over time. Probably actually shouldn't. Should probably merge presentation into and merge presentation.
You definitely need a big brother. Smiley face.
I do have a big brother, but only one that doesn't care about computers, unfortunately.
Always watching you.
Yes. Thank God we already live in a worse future than 1984 that predicted. I'm very tempted to use hash tables instead of a class here, but yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. It's a bit annoying to have to repeat the properties everywhere, but I don't know. Yeah, it's fine for now. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. So, now we get to the actual fun part of doing the rendering. Let me open the file up. Things, have access to this. Alright, so everything has a background and a border, but only some things have text or images. So, also let me add specializations here. So we're gonna render the background first. And wait, hold on, no, this doesn't work. Not like this. Can't do it like this because I don't have extent information in this. Too bad.
It looks like these rendering functions really should be put into a different file.
Which rendering functions? The render with methods, or?
Yup, render with.
I'll think about it later. For now, I just want to get it to work. The file isn't long enough yet for me to be bothered by it. Okay. Actually, should be like this instead as well. Okay, I'm gonna
By the by, what are you attaching these presentation instances to? Nodes in a tree.
Presentable layout elements. So those are nodes in a layout tree, yes. problem. If I want to actually display something for layout elements that don't contain a component, how do we trigger things to render? I'm just gonna make it much easier. Yeah, so my idea right now is that the elements that are not layout entries will call render with themselves as the thing to render, I guess. And then here we can customize on that if we want to. Okay, anyway, so the base thing of rendering our background would be set up. My prediction not coming up. Auto completion. It's weird. Oh wait, the border, I forgot about that. I know this is not quite correct, because the border semi goes in the thing we draw and outside as well, instead of being either strictly outside or inside. Okay. Good. Bit of a problem here with the fact that the font needs to be requested earlier. So we actually need to cache something in the presentation. I'm gonna make a fix me for that for later. Fix me. Cache. Font instance. So there's a specific allocation phase in the protocol before you're able to render anything. And during that allocation phase, you need to request a font, including all of its properties, so style, variant, weight, and stretch. And that gives you back a font object to render with, or to pass to the text rendering thing, and that's so that systems that cannot deal with requesting fonts cheaply have that performance constraint solved. Naturally, if you change it on the fly, you're gonna need to request a new font and recache that and stuff like that. So that's also going to be a pain in merging things. So if the merging results in a different font, yeah. Okay. Should also write these kinds of contracts down somewhere, because right now they're just in my head, and I'm very prone to forgetting things, so that's not good. also going to be a bit of a problem to do right, because we need to consider the text direction and alignment, and that's going to be a problem. I'm gonna put that into fix me proper alignment and selection resolution. I also actually don't have a geometry representation thing for like a padding, so left, right, top, bottom kinds of things, rather than an extent. So I'm gonna deal with that later as well. One is just gonna be the extent for now. Extents or points, I think, if I recall correctly. Oh, whoops, this is... should be like that. Okay, so that's the text rendering almost done. Sure wish I had autocomplete. Okay, which component it is. We're also going to need to deal with components that are both text and image components, because then the alignment is going to be different. Again, depending on where the icon is aligned. Fix me proper alignments in presence.
How is the element tree organized? Does every node have a reference to its parent?
Let me check for this. For the layout. Yes. So it's a tree of layout elements. Each element has a bound, so that's an extent of x, y with height, a parent, and a root pointer. Based on that, you make layout entries which contain components, so leaf nodes, and layouts which contain multiple other layout elements. Yeah, and the layout tree which has the table mapping layout elements to components and the root layout element. Okay. That should be the base of it in a not completely great way, but it'll be a starting point just to see whether this whole shebang actually works. Okay. Thinking about the defaulting of things. It feels like it will be appropriate to have a base default, meaning that something is. No, I don't know. Never mind. Scratch that thought. First of all, I need to export all this Wahoo. Oh boy, here we go. I'll probably tackle the intricacies of the the alignment and exact positioning of the text myself at some point, probably tomorrow. Because yeah. Okay. There it is. Let's also define a default look and feel, I guess. Gray is going to be the name. And it's going to be a simple one. Probably also need the cache for the these methods in some way. Let me put a fix me on that. Fix me cache defaults. You know, at runtime you probably don't want to create tons and tons of instances of this repeatedly every time you render. At the very least, it doesn't sound like a great idea. Okay. So
Why not? Lisp has a garbage collector.
it's
Just kidding.
yeah. I was hoping you were kidding, but yeah, still. Garbage collection can make allocation very, very cheap, but it's still better if you don't allocate at all. It's true, allocation in GC languages can be much, much, much cheaper than in managed languages with malloc. It's funny how that works.
There are conses to consing.
I like that. Border thickness, we're just gonna make 1. Already, yeah, it's just all normal. Okay. Quite sure how to specify the image size, to be honest. It should probably be more something like whether it whether it fits the height or whatever, so I don't know yet. Let me rethink this. So now though, 16, why not? Image fill we don't even have implemented at all. So... Okay. SVG. Okay. That should be everything, I think, maybe. Let's try it out. So first we need this UI. Yeah, it needs it as an orcs. Okay. Actually, let's go to the scratch buffer with this. Oh, I think the layouts are not exported either. Yeah. Okay, horizontal linear layout. The linearest of layouts. And then we enter layouts entry. Hey. I'm gonna make another one. Actually, hold on before I do any of that. A dingleberry, that's not how you're supposed to do this stuff. also want to see... list. Oh yeah, we need to make the UI first, and then... Wait, how did that work? I completely forgot how this stuff worked. Oh god. Stop as follows, focus tree. Okay, right.
A case of dementia.
Oh man, don't I know it? I feel like I have Alzheimer's already. Oh wait, you don't enter manually, you just specify the parent. So many things forgotten. Error! Yay! Huh? No. How's that? What do you mean?
You're passing a layout instead of a tree element.
No, that's fine. This should be as it is, so this isn't where it fails, is it? Oh wait, yes it is. This is how it's supposed to work though, at least according to my notes. And I'm pretty sure it did work. So the idea is that you create a focus tree, or a layout tree, and then you create your elements and set the parent to that tree for the first element, which would be the root. In this case, this horizontal linear layout should be the root, so the layout tree should be its parent. I know this worked at some point, I think. Do I know that? I don't know why it's setting it to nil though, that's weird. Let's check, okay. Oh, that's why. Dumb idiot. There's no primary method. Huh. Interesting. Should be a layout and layouts. Could be a container. Oh, it's not a vector container immediately. Okay. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Notice bounds. Called with layout entry. Why is that an after method? Why is that not a thing? Do we not have a... Oh, what? Why is that? That shouldn't be here. Yeah, why is that here? Index is there as well. Suggest bounds extent button. Wait, why is that? Computing the class precedence list for SVG UI. Forward reference class. What? No, it isn't. Or it shouldn't be. Huh? What? Oh, look and feel itself. There we go. UI constructed. Fantastic. Okay. Now we should be able to call allocate. Okay, and then render to file. What was it? Error. Font variant. Oh yes. Good old typos. At all, but okay, I'm gonna restart real quick, actually, just because I feel like there's also stale methods floating around, so that also means I need to make sure to have yes, there, good. Did I not save something? Yes. Of course I didn't. Okay. Variable container is unbound. That is interesting. Why is that unbound? That should be... Render. should trigger this method though, right? No, apparently not. Why not? Trace. SVG UIT. And that immediately goes to that. Okay. Okay. No, wait, that can't work like this. Let's see. Like that instead. There is no generic function image when called with GUI. Why are you trying to render an image anyway? Font size. Oh, it's text size, not font size. Hey! It did something. Let's have a look to see if it's actually anything sensible at all. Moment of truth. Well, something. It's all three things in one, but yeah, not as expected at all. Cool.
Bullseye.
Wait, I'll close that. So let's have a look. Within 0 RL, with an IRL 0, that's good. It's probably because in the layout I think I didn't specify a minimum size, so it squashed everything to 0. Scratch.
Generates very clean HTML.
It's not HTML, but sure. And size. Say width is gonna be 100 and height is gonna be 20. What? Excuse me, what? defining X. Where are you seeing? Oh my god, it's not giving me the proper source locations, I'm fairly sure. So, I don't know where it's pointing me. Extent. Oh, right. Let's be that. No notice bounds. Let's have a look now. Still the same. Hooray. Spike them in size. Time to fix that. Okay. So, width is 100 somehow, even though. Let's debug this layout. Planar layout. Here it is. Should increase X in the very least, so I don't understand this part. Zero, 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 zero. Huh? Min width. So how is suggest bounds something different? Huh? How is extent W not 100? Huh? It is. So how does X stay the same? What basic problem am I overlooking here? It is always 100. Oh, I see now, I think. Yes. So when you get notice bounds of a an element at an index that is not, or when you get notice bounds for an element that gets inserted, it's trying to do an optimization where it doesn't recalculate the bounds for elements that come before it, because that will be a waste. It should still be the same. But in that case, it still sets the initial x to 0, which is not good. So, or in the very least, OX is, yeah. Okay, so, this is actually a big problem. I'm gonna just do the 0. Fix me. Optimize. Okay, there we go. Now it's better. Good. Hey. Cool. Why don't the backgrounds render though? That's another question. Can't. Let's see. We do have RGBs, width and height. Opacity is 1. So what's the deal? What's the deal? I don't know. Why do these not render any backgrounds or borders for that matter? That's strange. Oh, it's 0 in height for some reason. Why is the height 0? Oh, because the layout itself has an extent of 0 in height. That's an interesting one. Okay. So, how do we deal with that? I guess that needs to be in the SVG thing. So here, after we allocate, we Yay! It worked. Looks like shit, but it worked.
Mission complete. Yeah, so the text obviously needs better alignment, but
it works now. So if I go into the Scratch now and change it to the
Did you like it?
I did like it. Thank you, Kojima. I'm pressing all the wrong buttons. Where's F5? There we go. Yep, now it doesn't stretch. Fantastic. Okay. I actually want to try something else. Something terrible, but I'm going to try it anyway. Size. And this time. Oh no! It's already associated. Right, I can't do that. Too bad. Let's just... Actually not sure if I like that constraint, but I know why it's there. Hey! It works. And now if I set this to stretch again, what happens then? Huh. That makes sense, yes. Okay. Nice. So now the things are still bottom aligned because the actual layout is being stretched to top, but the layout doesn't care. And if I make stretch nil here, it should be a bit shorter. Yes. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. It's coming together. Okay. Yeah. Once I actually have the
Very well done.
once I actually have the text rendering proper, this can look like something. Yeah. Still a bunch of fix-me's, but hey, we're also right on time to save this. No, I guess. Okay. Okay. Good. Let's also have a look at the to-dos. Yeah. Still a bunch to figure out. Yeah, I'm I'm gonna tackle some of the fix me's tomorrow myself, and if it works out, I can post some nice screenshots, and also tell you tomorrow how it goes. There's still two definite problems that I don't know how to deal with yet. Well, one of them is sliders, which is not really a problem, more just knowing how to constrain the problem space. And the other one is how do we signal a layout to redraw after a component changes. So the way the system is orchestrated, a component can be part of multiple layouts at the same time. The idea being behind this is that you might need different kinds of layouts for different screen resolutions, or you might need different layouts for different windows, but they might need to, show you the same component that has the same data in it. And so the problem, however, is if the contents of a component changes, then the layout needs to be invalidated and redrawn. And because the component doesn't know which layouts it's a part of, and because there's no way to sort of iterate all the layouts that exist, there's currently no way of letting the layout know that it needs to be redrawn, or that it needs to mark itself as dirty and redraw. You can do it if the change in the component is initiated through an event, then obviously you can do that for the current UI, but not for all of them. And I don't know, there might need to be something outside of this system that takes care of this. Yeah, I don't know yet. I'll have to think on that one. But yeah, everything else seems to slowly fit together. We still have a huge amount of work left to do, defining a better default presentation, figuring out the precise parts of the styling, making better layout managers, and finally implementing more renderers that are not
always nice to visually see the progress of your work too.
Yes, I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. So on stream, we might actually start tackling a renderer for trial next, because that'll give us input, which is the other interesting part of this, of course. Yeah, and then there's still a lot to do in how things are done. There's some things that I need to think about a bit more, like scroll layouts and whatever. But yeah, mostly it's coming together finally. An end is kind of in sight. Alright, well, that's enough for tonight though. Enough indeed. Thanks to everyone for joining, and thank you very much to people in chat for contributing and asking me questions and stuff. I've enjoyed that a lot. And yeah, more tomorrow. It's gonna be tomorrow's Saturday, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, more tomorrow. Weekend. Hooray.